whole nother spinal workshop I think we have for later this year is isolation is killing us. So the fact that you are choosing to show up is a choice. Thank you. And here's what you got the choice to do is this is time. And time you are sacrificing. If you choose to do one thing, you sacrifice doing something else. So time is valuable. We have to recognize that. What we also have to recognize is what we do with our time. So you'll have the choice, and what I'm asking you to do is to open up your heart, open up your mind, because you might hear some things I say that you don't agree with. You might hear something new, or you might hear something that you've already heard before, but needed to reiterate, because we forget. We are always a work in progress. None of us are perfect. So as I go through posture and changes, and I might have to go get props all over the place, none of us are perfect. My posture isn't perfect. I don't do anything perfect. I am here, though, as a coach to hold you accountable to make the most out of your adjustments in your health. And yes, I get adjusted every week. My team gets adjusted every week. Come on in, Abby. I'm glad you're here. So, here's the other thing. This is a big crowd, and I love having everyone here. I also go on tangents, and you are welcome to interrupt me at any time and ask questions, whether it is personal or something I didn't say as clearly. So I love more interaction. In fact, you guys were interacting with each other, which is even better. And what I love in community in our office, I might be bold enough that when we get into the exercises, we do them in group. And if you want to sit out or stand to the side, you are welcome to do that. Just be comfortable with what you are doing. But the whole hope is that when we do them in group, we're able to find the flaws that we might be doing or in someone else, and it only helps us get better. So it's not to critique or say anything you're doing wrong, but to say what we can do better for ourselves. And here's going to be my ask, is that you might be here for you right now. Most people are in survival mode, but I want you to also keep an open mind about who else should have heard this information. Because I haven't seen her. I hope maybe you can be her, Pat. The person who sticks their thumb in the shoulders of teenagers these days who are stuck in their phones and be like, stand up straight. That's going to be me for my kids, okay? Because otherwise they die. Seriously. So posture is everything. In fact, there are several studies that show that if we have a loss of neck curve, we know that the pressure on the nervous system goes up. We don't adapt as well and our body is more sick. What they're also showing in these studies is that your expectancy of life, longevity, goes down. So if we're not taking care of our spine, it leads to chronic conditions, chronic pain, and horrible life outcome usually, or lesser quality of life. So, diving in, posture is everything. It's a window to how well we have taken care of our own spine, right? Is that a signal for something?
No.
Okay. Like I forgot to put on my mic, so I got making sure to speak up. When we're talking about posture, standing, who wants to correct me? Anyone want to come up and I'm gonna give you an obvious, my posture sucks, and then you put me in the right position. Go, Krista. All right. I'm in good posture. This is where most people stand. You're gonna correct me.
I don't know about the head part. I'm looking at me.
Yeah.
I'm always like this or like this, and so I know it's horrible.
Yeah.
So I've always followed. So.
Nice job. And so what she automatically did, and what we know to do, is that our ears should be over our shoulders. But where do we typically find it? Leaning forward. Our shoulders should be over our hips. I had to correct a new patient today. They're this way. That's very rare to have those people leaning forward, but women especially, anytime you're working against a counter, dishes, cooking, we tend to do this. It should never be full hips. In fact, a counter, we'll go with posture at a counter specifically, should actually be one leg forward and working this way, chopping. Yep, and then you switch it the other way. So doing forwardness actually strains more of your low back. So ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over ankles, right? Same thing with sitting. ergonomically, we want our knees right over our ankles. We want, ideal for this, and it's really hard to find chairs like this, especially if you're short like me, your knees should be just above your hips, or equal to, okay? But most chairs, they're sunken down, which then leads me to do this. Anyone crossing their legs like this? Yeah, So what we do to one side, we typically want to do to one side if you're doing your stretch, right? There's a place and a time where your body's designed to move the way it's supposed to move, right? We want to keep it moving. So I'm not saying don't ever do this stuff, but we don't want to do it on an unbalanced basis, right? So ergonomically, knees just slightly above the hips. You can buy a stool if you have a desk job. Get a stool right here, okay? Prop them up a little bit. It puts you more into a squatting position. You want your feet flat.
Okay,
Yep. I know, to get up though, that's a lot on the ankles sometimes. So then you also want to make sure shoulders are over hips, ears are still over shoulders. So if you're working on a computer, you also want to check out your workspace. Whether it's at home, is the screen over here, and your keypad's over here, and your mouse is over here, versus making sure your head's straight up, okay? So we know this, but how often do we practice this? Or we're like, all right, I'm gonna work on my posture, and we're good for like 5 minutes. And then we're like this again. That's all it takes, right?
We get comfortable or zone down.
That's the whole evolution of human is we want to be comfortable. We want it the path of least resistance. So in order for you to want your higher quality of life, to live longer and be less sick, you're going to have to want it. The passion and determination in order to be a better version of yourself. Because we're going to have to make a conscious change. So whatever is in your way of helping you not make that change, because we want to be easy, fast, and convenient. Don't be like don't be what you eat too, right? You are what you eat.
Yeah.
So don't be fast, easy, cheap, that type of thing.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So it's the same with posture. Don't be slouchy, don't be frumpy, don't be whatever this is. And we have to work on with each other. Even if you see me, like I am bent over the tables all day, right? I catch myself at the desk leaning this way every once in a while, and then I'll try to go down to balance, right? If you catch me doing it, we have to help each other. Like, hey, balance, code word. Hey, everyone else got a code word? Maybe you can come up with something fun this way. Like, I don't know, what's the one in Meet the Parents? Muskrat.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we went over standing, we went over sitting. What about sleep position? Ideally, it's what I call coffin sleeping. You want to be on your back with little to no pillow. 1 inch, because you don't want a pillow that's going to do this, and you don't want to, if you're laying on your back, that's the only thing a pillow is going to be able to do, unless you have a hole in your pillow. The other thing you can do if you have a fluffy pillow, like I do a lot of traveling, and you're in a hotel room, if you're in Marriott, you got 3 levels of fluffiness. Yeah. Fancy. So what you can do though is put the pillow down to your shoulder blades so that your whole upper body is still straight and you're leaning back a little bit more. Yep. So you want to make sure you have a flat pillow if you're able to back sleep, okay? Here's what happens for side sleeper, which is like 60% of the nation, right? Side sleeping, you want a pillow that's this wide, from shoulder to ear. You don't want a pillow that's going to do this, or a pillow that's going to do this. Here's the other thing side sleepers like to do. Hike that hip and twist it over. Then you're stuck in this position for 3 to 6 hours, right? Until you decide to switch over to the other hip and do that. And then they're coming into my low back pain. They're like, what's going on here? Why does this not stay? Well, let's go over your habits, okay? So posture is the biggest habit, and we always have gravity completely weighing down on us. And that is why we want to change that. The only thing that fights gravity is life. You are alive. You have the choice to build up those core muscles so we can stand straighter, but you have to make that choice. Where's another place posture comes into play? The toilet. We spend a lot of time sitting on the toilet, and if we're being honest here, so we're gonna get potty talk in here.
Yeah.
We are meant, as humans, to be able to squat like this. This is the way going to the bathroom was done. way before civilization.
Oh, you don't still do that?
Oh,
No.
I did when I went to Taiwan, and all they did was have holes in the floor. So there are entire civilizations that still do that. And it's more, I mean, if you had to do this 6 to 11 times a day, how much better would your body be? If your life depended on it because they didn't have toilets.
You're gonna learn how to practice squat, yeah.
How to squat. So what happens though, we're typically on the toilet, we're typically leaning forward. This motion right here is the most heavy load you can put on your low back disc. It is the most susceptible to blow out a disc. And then you get up from this, and then you go like pick up a pen, and you're like, oh, my back went out. Hopefully none of you. But you know people have done that, right? It only took a little bit for their back to go out, but it was everything they did before that set it up that way. So, how should we be on the bathroom?
Squatty's ready.
Squatty potty! This is a squatty potty video!
I have one too.
So, I'm gonna read it to you.
Love it.
I question myself.
Changing.
So, we're gonna talk about toilet posture, and that sitting can get in the way of your health. So we decided to do some research on the concept of squatting, and this is what they found. Anatomically, this is where we're designed to squat. It's been that way for millennia, till the rise of Western civilization and the advent of the modern toilet. Convenient.
Even outhouses.
Yeah.
You
Or
know,
they
they-
weren't
It's led to
that high,
hemorrhoids,
they were low.
constipation, colitis, appendicitis, and colon cancer.
But the one my grandfather had, the box was low to the ground.
And those are often attributed to lack of dietary fiber, other aspects of life and health. So, but actually they have much more to do with our posture. So this is out of Stanford University about the pelvic floor. Squatting is not only recommended for patients with colon issues, it's recommended for everyone. It's required. The science is simple, and this is why I show this video, is because they're going to show you exactly how your insides are designed and why it makes so much more sense. So your large intestine is 6 foot long, then moves to the rectum. This is like a hammock, and it chokes the rectum off so you're not pooping all over yourself. Okay? So when we're sitting, do you see that? When we sit, the hammock is still choking the rectum. But when we lift our legs up more, the rectum is now more vertical and allows for much easier flow. So we decided to do something about it. A squatty potty. We cast aside the taboo of potty talk and breaking the silence. So that's why I like to share this video. I was hoping, do they have a picture of what they do for the squatty potty? Does anyone know what this looks like? It's basically a stool around the toilet. Right, there we go. Really cheap. You can get, it doesn't have to be the squatty potty, which is the brand name. Yeah, $20 on Amazon. Yep.
It's amazing. And depending on the height of your toilet, you can get different things.
So this would extend your life expectancy. Who would have thought, coming in, talking about smoking is the new sitting, that now we're talking toilet talk, right? The whole reason why we got into, or why it got titled is sitting is the new smoking, is because of this. More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
That's great.
At one point, the things we didn't know were highly recommended even for our health and to de-stress.
They were smoking more than Camel. They were smoking Lucky Strike. Lucky Strike.
No filter.
They had the dribble. You
Yeah.
roll them up.
There's
In
actually
the
studies
military.
on about the filters, and some of it fared better even.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just look at this. And we know the same thing in society today. Something new comes out, we have advertising, modernization, and we sell it.
Oh, sales too.
Until we find out later that it was actually detrimental to our health.
Are we supposed to shop EDs now?
Oh, yeah, ads are my control.
That's
Yeah,
I'm trying to say, Eddie, ice cream, not which one,
yeah. Actually, I have a whole thing on ice cream too. There was a spinal work, I don't think it's online, but I do a spinal workshop on reading labels, and we compare ice creams, because ice creams are not all made equal. Yeah.
Some that are not real ice cream.
In fact, it's not real ice cream, the majority of ice creams are filled with seaweed. Carrageenan, that's seaweed.
Fun fact that you probably don't know, with all the chemicals nowadays, you can get like some shredded newspaper and put some chemicals on it and make it taste like chicken nuggets. Just so you know.
Chicken nuggets, the taste of chicken nuggets are just chemicals.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's, if you ever seen them when they're dried and you open it, it looks like the shredded paper just like, they do that with all the food everywhere processed, and they, in the stores, they don't even gotta tell you when it's made.
Yep.
Anymore.
So rolling with this, have you guys seen the documentary? A famous chef, I don't remember who it was. He made homemade organic chicken nuggets in front of kids, but he's still, like, if you know what's processed, the organic stuff, what chicken nuggets are like the end pieces of the cartilage, the leftover meat after it's being full processed, put into a patty. So he puts all those end yucky pieces into a blender in front of the kids, and they're like, ew! He bakes it into patties, and the kids are like, ew! And then he breads it, and he bakes it. And the kids are like, yep, I'm gonna eat that.
I believe it.
Versus he made something completely organic over here that was whole food, that wasn't all processed, and they said no to that. Do you know how many people are actually willing to change?
Not that many.
Give me a percentage.
3%.
2%.
I was gonna say 10.
Yeah, it's 2%. And that study comes from something, I think, out of the 1984. What they did is people with open heart surgery. After having crisis care intervention for open heart surgery, they took these people into this study and said, all right, now you need to make these lifestyle changes. And they went through these lifestyle changes in courses, and then they followed up with them a year later to see if any of them were still doing them. 2% were. And they were told that if you keep living this lifestyle, you are going to die. What that is we're not valuing ourselves enough.
It's like smoking a cigarette with an oxygen tank.
Yeah.
Let it go, you're gonna blow up.
This is all coming to mental issues in the way we were wired and the way we were raised. So in order to change habits, you have to align your head, your heart, and your hands in order to make change. How long does it take to make something a habit? Typically 28 days. Okay, anywhere between 3 weeks and 6 weeks, depending on what it is. But we have to consciously be aware my posture. So we should just turn this into a drinking game or something. Of shots of water, of course. Yeah. Every time Dr. Sandy, that's your signal right there. He's standing off to one side, just start taking a swig of your water. When I see everyone do it at one time, then I'll know, I'm like, all right, back to balance, right? So what does that mean though?
Either that or they got something else in the bottle.
Tell us about our secret stash, Ken. Oh, things I get off of. Tangents, all right. I'm like, what else was I going to talk about? I had a whole bunch.
How many people are willing to change?
Oh, how many people are willing to change is only 2%. So, but moving on, sitting's the new smoking. So from places like this, and especially women going into the workplace since ads like this in the 1940s and 50s, we're at more and more desk jobs. So the posture, even if you have great posture, do you think that's still healthy? So how long should someone be sitting for?
15 minutes.
20 is my number, but and you guys 15, 30. So my recommendation is every 20 minutes you set a timer. And for 5 minutes, you get up and stretch and walk.
My watch tells me that.
Yep, I was gonna say, I
You
mean,
need to watch like
they know this. It's associated with your phones and your watches already.
I know like your heartbeat and stuff like that.
You
Like
sit-
that one.
You
Does.
sit for too
Like
long,
how
it
many
will tell you
steps?
to get up and move.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
What are those
Move
called?
and
What kind
how
of
long
watches
to
are
move.
those?
Yeah. So and they have whole
Move for a
things.
minute or whatever.
Yes.
And then you got rings that you have to fill every day too.
So they make it into a
They
game.
really. They
So I
do.
like this.
What is that
You have an
called?
incentive.
What kind of watch is
This
it?
is an iPhone. I mean, an
Apple
iPhone.
Watch? Oh.
And this one's a Samsung Galaxy.
So that will go with Android.
But you have to set up your app
Get one of those.
in order to do it.
You have to get on, or well, my phone automatically connects to it, it's a
Yeah, cause I
Samsung
have a
Galaxy.
Samsung phone.
But I know
Yeah,
people
so
that just
connects
ignore it.
automatically to
Yeah,
it.
so that's what you get, the watch that goes with your phone.
Does it also tell you your quality of sleep?
Oh, yeah.
Garmin watches do that too.
Garmin watches will tell you your age.
Watch
You know?
Not all of them do,
No,
not all of them, but
Yeah, the
I-
V something Max,
None of them
whatever.
track.
there's a couple versions that do. It'll tell you your anabolic age. So like if you're working, it'll tell you how much energy you have or what your body's battery is at. So it will tell my friend, I had a roommate when I was last traveling and she was telling me all about her new watch and her battery. And so when I go to coaching with other chiropractors, we play all out. So I'm up till midnight hanging out with the gang and we're up at 6 a.m. working out the next morning together. And so her watch was telling her, like, all right, I'm at 26% battery. It means I can only do a light to moderate workout today in order to last the rest of the day. So
Yeah.
it plays, our body, you do have to put into place, like when we're talking about posture, when we're talking about working out, all the things in our life. And so I wasn't planning on going here on this way, but since it's coming up, you can Google the Wheel of Life. And the one I typically use has 7 categories. I'm gonna mess this up. There's 3, and then we gotta throw an extra one in here. Okay. Places of life: spiritual, intellectual, social, familial, family, financial, physical. It goes in that order. There's another 2S, 2Fs, another P1.
You have an extra.
Professional.
Yeah, an extra thing.
I got 7 in there now. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Psychological.
It could be mine. So intellect would follow under there. So professional, spiritual, intellectual, social, familial, financial, and physical are your typical. Okay. So all of those play a part with how much energy we have and what quality of life we have. So what I would challenge you to do for homework is to write these down or snap a picture really quick and then just list them, right? And whatever you list, right next to it, grade yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay? 1 to 10, 10 being amazing. So you would grade yourself physically. How would I rate myself on a scale of 1 to 10? Am I working out? Am I eating the right things? You would rate. Give yourself like an 8, for example. Then go financially. Where are you at with your goals on that? Let's say you're at a 5. You got a little debt to pay off yet. Familial relationships. Maybe that's a 6. Social. Maybe it's a 3. You don't have time. You're too busy for friends, and isolation's the new thing. All your friends are all on Facebook. Intellectual. How many people are reading books and learning? Continuing to learn? Let's just go with a 5. And then spiritual. Your relationship doesn't necessarily be church, but whatever floats your boat, that you have that connection to something greater than you, right? Wherever that is, you rate yourself. And then that gives you a good idea of what you need to work on next. Because when you work in one area, all of them tend to raise. So sometimes you may not prioritize all of them the same way. So if this is the easiest way to work this and just pick the lowest one, your next step would then be to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5 on how important it is to you. So that way when you do the importance, and you just rate this, so let's say whatever I started with here is a 2 for importance, whatever started here is a 3 for importance. Well, family's a 5 for me, comes first. Spiritual might be 5 for you. You're gonna take this number and multiply it. So 8 times 2 equals 16. 5 times 3 equals 15. So that gives you another level of now whatever these 2 categories were are much closer together. So 2 ways that you can rate it. Yes.
I've done something similar, it's more like a balanced life wheel chart.
Mm-hmm.
So you do, you can play around with like how many pie squares you give yourself, but kind of same thing, you like fill in the things that like make your life. And then like the middle of your pie chart is 0, the outside is a 10. And so then and then you list your things, and then you give a number on like how much time or energy you spend doing that, and then you make a dot. So like, so if spiritual, I'm at an 8, I would make a dot, just pick a line out to like the edge there. Then intellect say is like only a 2, then it'd be closer to the center, and I go around, and then I connect it, and then the closer I am into a circle, the more balanced my life is. First time I ever did one of those, I looked like the state of Illinois. And it was like an eye-opener of how off I really was. And so then I started working on things, like it gave me that visual to like consciously like I need to like, and obviously you know what I mean? So you gotta be like, okay, how do I shift time from here to here to balance this out to give my life more of this,
Yeah.
But it gave me that visual to be like, have the awareness that I need to make change, and as I did it, and then so many weeks later, I did another one, I started to become more of a circle. And of course, this was like, I don't know, 5 years ago, but I'm not.
This is a great share. Does everyone know what she's talking about with the dots out here? So like her professional might be here, but her intellect's down here, and so you're trying to make some type of circle. Spiritual might be out here. We're just making stuff up.
Yeah.
But if we connect those dots, we see we got different shapes.
And we want it to be a circle.
And we want it to be a circle.
What is it called?
I think
A balance.
like some kind of like life balance chart, something
Yeah,
like that.
you Google it. I've seen this before too.
Yeah.
So the next thing though, like you're trying to get a circle, what did you notice in your life? Hopefully it's not going too in depth, share what you're willing to share and comfortable with, but when you got to closer to being a circle, how did your life change?
Like specifically what changes did I make, or how did like I change like
Overall. You can answer both. So I'm going more overall, more generic on this. Like what did you notice? Not just the actions that you did to help improve,
Right.
but by living more balance, like, cause here's where I'm getting at is, if I don't care if I read anything or get smarter, which I don't, that's not me at all. But if I'm here in my example right here, if I don't care about this, why is it important if I push this dot out here more to get this more of a circle? How does my life?
I think it was less stressed. I think I was less stressed, and being less stressed, I was happier, and so, and I'm trying to remember like how we did it, cause you can go a couple ways where you kind of look at something that's, like you can like kind of choose, I can say, okay, these are the things that I choose that are important to me, and then kind of create that circle, right? So intellect might not be on there, right? Or you can look at more like, cause there's other charts that list like the things that you should be focusing on, right? And so you can either stick with what's given to you, or you can just be like, okay, well, yes, and kind of create your own like 5, 6, 7, 8, however
Something
many
that will help
you
you
want.
balance your life.
And balance, and have it a little more personalized, but overall, and I still struggle with this, where like work ends up, my energy goes into so much of my work that I end up like faltering over here, but, so that was the case then. So there was areas that when things social was probably off, physical probably was, and so it made me more conscious of, making time, for friends, making time to do, like I think hobbies, or like, what do you enjoy, that was one of them, so I started making it
Time
my
for
residence
yourself.
to get my kayak out, and to do that with a friend, and so.
You're hitting exactly where I wanna go. Number 1, you made a list.
Yeah.
Where'd you put that list?
Where you can see it.
I think I just,
In the bathroom on.
Let me tell you.
Get
Get these markers.
I mean, like, I wrote it down, like,
Yeah.
in the moment, but then that didn't, like, go on the wall or anything.
Get
It
these
was just
markers
there,
and write
so,
all over your
yeah,
bathroom mirror.
Right.
Right? Whatever positive affirmations you need to write up there too, to make sure that you're filling yourself up. Because I started this whole night with like, we're not valuing ourselves enough.
We
Right?
need a visual, out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
Very good.
So to take care of ourselves, it has to be in front of ourselves if we're changing a habit. Then second part you brought into that was you invited a friend.
Yeah, so it was, I think around that time frame, like, I kind of made it, and I don't know if it was within like the same year or so, it was like, I looked at what my work schedule was, and like, I had a friend who had a lot of availability, and I made a plan to go kayaking once a week, and we picked a different portion of like the Paw Harbor, and it was like a goal to like hit all these different sections, and things we could that summer.
That's awesome. So don't do things by yourself. If you have a goal, include someone else, okay? Because we typically don't do things for ourselves. So Dr. Julie and I got into this discussion probably 2 months ago now, and we each set our own health goals and reward. she doesn't get her reward until I meet my health goal. I don't get my reward until she meets her health goal.
Push each other.
We push each other.
Wow.
So, because I'm like, how, if I break a promise to myself, how better am I gonna feel about it?
People do it all the time.
We do it to ourselves all the time, but if I break a promise to Dr. Julie, she's not gonna get that new kayak. Like, that's, so here's what we have to ask ourselves is, what's at stake if we don't show up for ourselves?
Our health,
Your
Everything.
own self.
for everything, yeah,
Our best life possible.
right.
And if I'm living my best life, how does that benefit the people around me?
So you're gonna be on the same
100%.
page. They get all of you. If you're not you, you can't help like other people.
We can't.
No.
What you're going with is, it's the
They don't
airplane.
get your 100%.
Right, they don't get my 100%. So I have another friend, and she hates bragging about herself or what she's going through because she wants to put everyone else first in front of her, and that is very typical. But here's what you're bringing up is that when I shine brighter, I get to shine light on the people around me too, right? It's the airplane talk. If cabin pressure were to drop, the masks fall, who do you put the mask on first? Yourself, and then people around you. We cannot do our best work, and I fully believe that we're put on this earth in order to connect and help each other. We cannot do our best purpose and our work if we are not taking care of ourselves. So, here's another thing you can do, really quick math. On a scale of 1 to 10, grade yourself on your want to change. We all want change. Anyone want to change the world?
The world?
Okay, well maybe not that far, okay.
Our world.
Anyone want to see change? No. Anyway, so on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very willing, very, very willing. How much do you want change? And then on the same scale of 1 to 10, grade yourself on how willing you are to change yourself. So let's say we really want change. Most people grade this a 9 or 10. Willing to change though, most people are around a 6 or 7. You multiply this, it's gonna give you 60. Your score, you will not affect or create change in your own life unless this number is above 80. So you need 9s in both categories, which is 81, or a 10 and an 8, in order to have effective change. I don't remember where that's from though, I definitely didn't make that up. I learned it somewhere. So, if these numbers are lower and you're really wanting change, you're gonna have to find it in you or who within your life needs to see you live your best life so that you can be there for whatever graduation, wedding, celebration that you can be at. So someone tell me, what's something you took away from tonight?
I have to change.
Hopefully it's not your underwear. Thank goodness for Squatty Potty. Squatty Potty! Okay.
There's ways to improve myself.
There are ways to improve yourself.
Inspirational for all the information, to use it.
Knowledge without implementation leads to depression.
Yeah.
Now you know. You can't unknow.
And then if you know you're not doing anything about it,
What else?
Don't isolate yourself.
Big impact.
Small changes can make a big impact. That's huge.
for me, it was an eye opener and just a reality check, because the reason that brought me here in the first place, I went from just regular to, okay, now you might have heart problems and this and that. The smoking, the food habits, stuff, I was like getting my list and changing a little bit at a time, like I instantly checked off so many things on my list when they told me my heart would stop, I could have heart attack. But I told you, it's just like, okay, well, I've been wanting to do this. I don't want that read it so easy, I just.
So I'm gonna pick on you a little bit.
But this stuff, it helps a lot, but the wanting to change and willing to change is like a big part for me, because I just went through that, so I see the difference, because I was trying to quit smoking for like 7 years.
I am
It's only
so
one day.
proud of you.
To like, bam, and throw it away, literally like,
Yeah.
oh, I did what?
And it took crisis mode in order to make change.
Yeah, cause I didn't know I was that affected, and then when I learned about my spine and other stuff because of past stuff, growing up, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I was a physical therapist, helper, assistant, so like I've seen people go through horrendous stuff and make it out, but I didn't want that to be like a life-threatening thing, like before I change or I'm gone, cause I'm young, and I've seen people go through worse, so I got a lot from the city. Like I just went through that, so it was like, oh God.
It breaks
I
my
lost
heart.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
Very recently, very close. I feel like I'm alone. Most of my family passed away. I was the one who took care of everybody, and I can't really take care of myself until it came. So, yeah, it's been just this 3 times I've been here, and it's literally like the information, the openness, and the comfortability, and then stuff I just didn't know.
We don't know what we don't
Yeah.
know.
So yeah, I've been.
But that's so many people's story in the
Like, I
US
don't wanna
is
be like, oh.
crisis care.
She died, and all she had to do was this. And she didn't know, so she
Well, it
didn't
wasn't
change
just all
it,
you
or-
had to do, is that's the biggest thing, is that you made the choice. Because, I mean, I almost at every spinal workshop like this, what's the leading cause of death in the US?
Heart disease.
Heart disease,
And I had a good heart until I got poked by the needle once.
then cancer,
Yeah,
okay? And then there's a list of few things.
Kidneys.
can't be crying down in my
Diabetes.
arm.
Kidneys is down the list, diabetes is number 6. Lower respiratory infections is number 3. And then accidents, I think, is number 7, and
Second.
strokes is in there too.
And secondhand smoke.
Secondhand smoke.
Not anymore. They've done really good, on trying to kill the tobacco industry,
Pollution.
but it's been there. So, maybe, we could discuss a little bit more on that too, and who knows if I even believe the science that I read around that. So, here's what I'm saying though. If the number 1 killer is heart disease, did you know 66% of it is preventable? 66%. Ralph Kinney did this research out of Harvard. I bought the whole research, it almost came like a book. The number 1 killer of people is actually poor choices. People.
Yes.
Go ahead, Jeff.
When you talk about that, was it about 3 years ago, 2 years ago? An aneurysm. They cut from here across to here. And the part about it, the blood clot didn't stop my heart and stop my hip, and it caught it in time. Now, I'm dealing with, I just had a kidney transplant. So after you have all these medical issues, then now all of a sudden you want changes. You want to start getting changes. Watching what you eat, stop with the drinking. I stopped drinking. Cold turkey, you know about that. But it just had to happen that it was either you have to make a choice, life or death. It's like a scale. And you value yourself, which one you want? Because if you want your life, you want to stay and be there for the kids, the wife, family, friends, and everything. Definitely you can go where everybody else go. So you have to have that check and balance. Then you, like you said about work, sometimes work can drive you up the wall. You know,
Stress.
drive you crazy, stress.
There's more than just mental stress.
So you really don't know it. Then like I said, when I come in here, find out my back was out of place and my hip was out of place and my arms out of place. I had a pin put in my shoulder. It was just a lot you had went through. But then, like I said, everything I blamed on was I played football when I was in high school, and I was out, so and all these kind of other things. But I didn't know about the other part. You got a long list of things that would contribute to it, and you don't know what happened. All you know is your body is starting to fail. It's like they said, when that check engine light come on, then you want to start doing something about it.
I love that analogy. How many times, if your check engine light came on in your car, you're just gonna put a Band-Aid over it?
Or they ignore it every time.
Well, now you can take it all those on, they reset it for you.
Then you'll be back in another 20 miles.
Yeah.
So, we need to listen to our bodies when it's whispering,
Yes.
before we have to hear it yell.
Yes.
we don't take care of ourselves now, your body will shut you down in order to make you take care of yourself.
And when you said when it whispered, when I knew I was having I didn't know I was having an aneurysm, we were watching TV, and I told Barbara I hear a loud noise outside. See, Scottsdale right across the street. I went outside late at night,
It sounded
thought I
like
heard
train
somebody
or
shooting. It wasn't. That was my eardrum busting. That was letting me know that. But the good part about it was to show you how the Lord worked. When I got to the hospital, both of the heart surgeons was on duty that night. They told me if I would've called the ambulance, I wouldn't have made it. But my wife took me there and I made it in time. That's how I look.
We know Jeff's got a purpose.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, I know that's serious, 'cause I had a manager, I was only 16, and she was 22, with a bad relationship, healthy. Dude was stressing her out and doing all this type of stuff, she had an aneurysm and died instant, on the spot, in front of her kids and everything.
But the funny about it, the doctor told me, it's rare. I am rare that 10%, I'm on that 10% list that people make it through the aneurysm. and
Like,
still
is, aren't
walk
you
around.
on the 10% list for even getting a kidney transplant?
Yeah,
It's like a 3% list, isn't it?
And you got
especially when you're
both.
O type,
You're supposed
O
to be
positive.
here.
So we all have a purpose.
Yes.
The universe has a way of bringing people exactly where they need to be, when they need to be there, you just have to walk through.
All we have is here, all we have is now.
Yeah.
A lot of our stress comes from, it just didn't go our way.
Right.
If we actually learn to let go of that and roll with it, we have a lot less mental stress. If we work on our posture, we have a lot less physical stress. Because this, gravity is a stressor, right? If we have a squatty potty, we have a lot less stress.
That's just a fun thing to say.
Toilet talk tonight, it's tonight's final workshop. So anyone else we want to do 2 more people if you want to share your takeaways.
I was actually wondering if you could talk about driving posture, because
I was supposed to!
I commute a ton, and it's a huge question for like when girls do all those clips nowadays, and it like sends their head forward.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up, Cal. Alright, so most people driving like this, and I can tell when that shoulder's up, I'd be like, hey, you drive with one hand up? They're like, yeah, why? Or they're like, oh, it's this way, and they lean on the other way. And I'm like, hey, new rule is both up or both down, okay? But when you're sitting in your car, the only bad part is, I mean, you're not driving with your left foot, right? Unless you got a clutch. But this, you're not gonna avoid this. This does create a little bit of imbalance, but it's watching your back, making sure you're not way back like this. You still need to be upright. The clips in the hair probably need to come out, low ponies, okay? Or the messy buns that sit back there, they need to get low, so that you can bring it all the way back. In fact, that's my number one thing. I was also supposed to go over exercises too, but we're gonna run out of time. Is that the exercise we give you when you look down, bring it back, I do that while I'm driving. Anytime I stop at a stop sign, making sure everything's pushed back. Now, the other thing you have to watch out when driving, especially in the newer vehicles, they put the headrest in backwards.
My dad says like,
They make it sit forward.
that's my dad's Cherokee, and it's like 20 years, and it's like, his headrest is like this.
Yep.
You can flip them around, but you can't get them out after that.
Not always true. So I did it, my husband has a 2015 truck. We took it on vacation to Ohio just last week, and I tried to flip it. So I took it out, I flipped it around, and it was actually worse. Yeah, so it just depends on the vehicle and the make, but I did that with my Toyota Highlander, flipped it around, and it made a world of difference. I even have, it has such a slope in it that I actually have room for a high pony.
You got the automatic, you can come forward and then you can flip it and it moves the back up like this so that you're.
But it doesn't move the headrest.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, some do, some don't.
If I had enough time to go run and get it, I would. Or we'll field trip to the parking lot. No.
What about your knees? Don't just take the headrest off, even though it seems like it might be comfortable, because.
Oh, don't take the headrest off.
Throw your head
Yes,
back.
if you were ever in an accident, that whiplash injury would be 10 times worse than it actually could.
Yeah, 'cause that
Um,
helps.
Someone was bringing up knees. Yeah, so it's the same thing with ergonomics in the car, the knees, that your knees should actually be higher than your seat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, lift that.
I said
Yep.
this.
And so I have a lot of people that come in with sciatic nerve, or they'll get numbness while sitting like that, and it's because the seat is cutting in and the knees are lower than the hips.
Oh, my,
So that's why you gotta bring it up.
when I wanted to bring, he had sciatica before.
The other thing I have a problem doing driving long hours is I'll be like this.
Oh,
But that's why I get adjusted every week for the rest of my life, right? So you have to pick your
I
battles.
do that.
If you wanna see less of me, break your habits.
Put it all, put it in cruise control.
Yeah, that too.
And you gotta worry about it, you can cross your way, put it.
I'll be on cruise control, I'll still be
Be,
like
be
that.
real
Long
satisfied.
drives, yeah.
What about
I
at
used
home
to, no.
recliners? Recliners are bad, right?
Say it again?
Recliners.
Recliner, just get rid of them. You don't need a recliner.
Old couches are.
Same on the couch. Most people, especially chicks, love the corner of the couch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with actually laying back where it's like this. What it creates though is your low back curve to become hypo curved. You want a good curve, so you should always be sitting up. The biggest problem I have is when people start sleeping in their recliners.
Oh, God.
Whether it's due to pain or snoring or sleep apnea, whatever they got going on, it's making everything worse. Not only that, but then their head's going like this because they're halfway sitting up, and what does that do to the neck over time?
I always fall
Not good.
asleep
I
riding
had
in
to-
a long car.
Nothing good.
I had to sleep in a recliner for 2 months because actually it ended up being almost 3 because I had cervical neck surgery, and so the pressure of leaning or laying was horrible, so it was the worst 3
So
months of
there's
sleep
always
ever.
cons and pros to everything. Like if you have something, a crisis care intervention,
But it
where you
wasn't-
have to do that
It
in
wasn't
healing.
comfortable either, it was
Right.
horrible. And like, I
But
don't know how
you're
they
gonna
used
have to
do
work
it.
really, really hard to undo it now, right? Our bodies are designed to heal from the inside out. They just need no interference. And that's exactly what the subluxation is and what a chiropractic adjustment is a misaligned vertebrae putting pressure on a nerve. And that bone's only moving 2 to 3 millimeters tops, 1 to 2 actually. But that little bit changes our function and how our brain communicates with the rest of the body.
What do you think about them hospital beds?
Let's not even go there.
Yeah,
We
got-
could do a whole
I
hour
got
on
a bed
hospital
separate.
beds
That's
and
why
what they've
I said
gotten
the
rid of.
recliner.
What
Yeah.
about sitting like this or like this? Cause this is my always.
Is that balanced? Go crisscross applesauce.
Okay, cause I always, when
I
I
have
up
to
in
do
the
it too.
car and I'm the passenger. it's
Short
really
people
tight,
just
I'm like-
can't get their feet on the ground, so just think
Oh,
balance. Yeah, just think crisscross applesauce then.
Or even this chair.
Yeah,
It's too high.
Not,
It's way
they're
too
not
high, yeah.
made for.
The standard
short
chair
people.
is
this
19
one is
inches high.
nice, Cause it's straight up, but this.
Because the
is
average
leaning back.
person is 19 inches from here to here. To the floor, to the knee.
We're like
19 inches. Yeah, but you have to be at least 5'6"
Oh, I'm
to
5
have
feet.
that. Yeah.
We're over
So
5 feet.
ergonomically, like all the new cars too, the car seats, they're all ergonomically correct, but for someone who's 5'6" or taller.
What about all those 5 feet?
Right. Well, they can't please everyone, they gotta find some type of basic model, right? So in the meantime, you just have to figure out what's working for you and how you're gonna combat it so that you can still keep proper posture and your nervous system functioning at its best. Right? Because if we're not taking care of our nervous system, our number one operating system, what else do we have? Anything you put in here for energy wise is not gonna be at its best either. And only chiropractors are trained to find and analyze and correct a vertebral subluxation. But people don't realize that. People wanna come to me for pain. Going to a chiropractor for pain is like going to a bank and stealing only the pens. They're gonna rob a bank.
Cause I can't be for
Get it for
pain.
all it's worth, right?
I can't be like, help me please, I don't trust the hospital no more.
98%, I'm not digging on anyone. I mean, 99.9% of everyone that walks in my doors has some type of pain,
Yeah,
okay? And then we educate,
yeah.
and that it's not just about the pain. It's about function in every life choice you have, because tomorrow when you wake up is the first day of the rest of your life. You have many choices to make. What kind of life do you want to live? You just have to make sure your actions match that. I can't decide for you. But the more we get together and communicate like this and share stories, thank you guys for your shares, because those are absolutely moving. But I pray that no one has to live through what you guys did.
Just imagine
Like when you're
going to
hurt,
dialysis 4 hours a day, 3 days a week for the last 3.5 years, sitting in one spot.
that's painful.
You put your life on pause.
That's what I did, I have done it.
So, we each have choices. I hope you go home and share your takeaway
And
with
you're
someone
here
else.
to tell us about it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
a
ma'am.
miracle.
I'm walking witness
Yeah, that's very, very.
and a testimony.
So I need your help. Don't keep this, what you learned tonight, silent. We need to get to more and more people. Just share it with them what your takeaways were. And if there's any way we can help them, and there's any way you need me or someone from my staff to reach out to them too, let us know. Whatever it looks like, we're here to help, because we wanna connect with this community. Because one educated person uplifts the whole community. So I can't thank you guys enough for choosing to value the time to be here, and I hope
And
it
two
was worth
people
it.
today asked me where I was going, because you know my
Well,
story.
let's hope your miracle story goes to everyone else, because miracles like that only happen in 1 in 20 patients
How long
here.
ago was that, 3 weeks?
Yeah,
3 weeks ago I walked, I couldn't walk,
she didn't
I
walk.
couldn't
She
walk.
hobbled.
Oh, wow.
I was using a walker. Today, I walked in without, and the first thing that she said,
Stopped a
"Aren't
conversation with
you
another
missing
patient.
something?" I go, yeah, it's at home. And then 85,
But if you never found me, you know what your route would have been? They would have, yeah,
85.
85. If you never found us, you know what your route would have been? You would have tried
Oh.
PT for 6 weeks,
I
and it
have
would have
to
worked
thank-
somewhat.
I have to thank my friend that sent me here, right?
And then they would have wanted to do cortisone shots.
Well,
And
that's
already did,
exactly, when I went to the emergency room, they gave me a shot in each arm for pain. Okay, and then they said, see an orthopedist,
then you would have ended up in surgery.
and I ended up with you. It was my choice to go to a chiropractor instead of going to an orthopedist, because that, bottom line is, they're surgeons, they wanna cut you.
Yeah, that is
You know,
true.
that, they
If
wanna
all
go
you have is a
under, and they
hammer.
go under, and they can
Hammer.
do whatever they want.
And so, and that's the smartest choice someone could make, because chiropractic care is the most conservative care you can have. You go under the knife or drugs, those are permanent side effects.
Well, you tell that to Medicare.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Medicare will pay for your $150,000
If I went to the
hospital bill, but not your
That's
chiropractic care.
exactly what I said to the nurse there, I said, they're willing to pay, the last time I was in for my heart attack, $80,000, I was in there for 3 days, and did I come back any better? No.
No, they don't want you.
No, I didn't have any of this information. I had to ask for everything.
Yeah.
You know, okay, so
Yeah.
what are my choices? What am I gonna do now? You know, I'm right to the point where if I don't get better, which I've done with your help, do I wanna go in a home?
Yeah.
You know, do I want somebody taking care of me all the time? Do I have to call, I have a lady across the street from me that she won't talk about chiropractic. Okay, well, okay, I tried, right? And she is like one step away from being put in a home, because she can't walk, she fell the other day, and falling,
This one you
that's
said that,
something
yeah.
that, you know, we're all afraid of, and it's so much more prevalent when you get to be my age. And my problem right now is more the dizziness and the unbalance that way. You know, so, and then I'm taking like 6 different things in the morning, and I go, well, how does this pill know how to do that, and this
Well,
pill
it's the same.
know what to do there, you know?
I mean, the majority of people walk in our offices with back pain, right? And if you go to the walk-in clinic or even the ER, they're gonna start with medication. So muscle relaxers is a very common one.
That's right.
Didn't know.
Muscle relaxer, how does it know to go just to the low back?
It doesn't.
It doesn't,
That's
okay.
exactly-
Is your heart a muscle?
Yes.
Do you want that
Yes.
to relax?
No.
No.
It goes to all the muscles.
Right.
Everything we choose to take affects all of us. So I do want to end more on time. I was trying to end this about 10 minutes ago. I love that you guys are all sharing and keep going with this. If you want to stick around, I have about 7 more minutes. I have family up in town from Florida and Louisiana that I passed up to be here. So they've got their own pizza dinner date and stuff like that. So, but I'm gonna go hang out with them. So we got about 5-10 more minutes. If you guys want to stick around, you're more than welcome to share stories, connect. But thank you, and just make sure you go out and share something you took away from tonight.
Are there lobbyists to get, chiropractic good for, Medicare?
I'll tell you who it is.
I mean, I don't know, I
It
never.
is
Tim